Each day begins with a kind of quiet magic. The sun rises, painting the sky in hues of gold and pink, and the world stirs to life. Birds sing their songs without hesitation, the breeze dances through the trees, and the steady rhythm of life unfolds. Yet most of us are too preoccupied to notice. We wake up already consumed by thoughts of what needs to be done, the obligations waiting just beyond the bedroom door. Our routines take over. Coffee is poured, emails are checked, and the day becomes a blur of tasks, schedules, and small worries. The wonder of simply being alive gets buried beneath the layers of getting through the day. We rush past the small miracles, the sound of rain tapping on the window, the way sunlight filters through leaves, or even the warmth of a smile exchanged with someone in passing. It's not that these moments disappear, they're always there, quietly waiting to be seen. But we've trained ourselves to look elsewhere, to focus on what's urgent, on what's next. And in doing so, we miss the quiet beauty that surrounds us. The irony is these simple, unnoticed moments are what make life rich, and yet they slip through our fingers because we're too busy to stop and truly see them. Life isn't in the big, dramatic moments we anticipate, it's in the subtle, fleeting details we so often take for granted. But when we fail to recognize them, we risk losing touch with the very essence of what it means to be alive. There's a peculiar pattern most of us fall into without even realizing it, the habit of waiting. It starts early, perhaps when we're children, eagerly counting down the days until the weekend or the holidays. As we grow older, this habit doesn't fade, it just takes on new shapes. We wait for the next paycheck, the next big break, or the next phase of life that promises to make everything better. We convince ourselves that happiness is always on the horizon. Once I get that promotion, then I'll feel secure. Once I find the right partner, then life will feel complete. Once I have more time, more money, more freedom, then I can truly live. But the funny thing is, the horizon never gets any closer. Every goal we reach simply gives way to a new one, and the waiting begins all over again. This habit of postponing life keeps us in a constant state of anticipation, as if the present moment is never quite enough. It's as though we're holding our breath, waiting for some magical moment when everything will fall into place. But that moment never comes, not because it doesn't exist, but because we're looking for it in the wrong place. By fixating on the future, we blind ourselves to what's already here. The richness of life isn't something to be found later, it's happening right now. Yet the habit of waiting tricks us into thinking that life is something to be earned or achieved rather than something to be experienced. And in this endless cycle of waiting, we risk letting the present moment slip through our fingers, unnoticed and unlived. There's a quiet story we all tell ourselves, the one about reaching enough. It's a story about that elusive moment when we'll finally feel secure, satisfied, and whole. It begins with small goals, enough money to pay the bills, enough time to relax. But as we achieve these milestones, the line of enough moves further out. Now it's about having enough to retire early, enough to keep up with others, or enough to feel successful in the eyes of the world. The trouble is, enough is always just out of reach. No matter how much we achieve, accumulate, or perfect, there's always more to be done. It's as though we're climbing a ladder that stretches infinitely into the sky, each rung promising to bring us closer to a sense of completeness that never quite arrives. And so we keep striving, pouring our energy into the pursuit of something that cannot be defined. This chase creates a subtle restlessness, a background hum of dissatisfaction. It convinces us that the present moment isn't sufficient, that we need to do more, be more, or have more before we can truly relax and enjoy life. It blinds us to the reality that much of what we're seeking, peace, joy, contentment, doesn't come from having more, but from appreciating what's already here. Yet we've been conditioned to believe otherwise. We live in a culture that measures worth by productivity and success, that sells the idea that happiness is just one purchase, one promotion, or one achievement away. And so we chase and chase, not realizing that the very act of chasing keeps us from noticing the fullness of the life we already have. The search for enough becomes a distraction from the truth that we are already enough, and that life in all its imperfection is more than enough as it is. Life isn't something that starts at a distant point in the future, nor is it waiting for you to catch up. It's happening right now in this very moment, whether you notice it or not. It unfolds in the rhythm of your breath, the sensation of the ground beneath your feet, and the hum of energy that surrounds you. But too often we let the present moment slip away, consumed by thoughts of what's next or memories of what has already passed. We spend so much time planning for a life we hope to live that we forget we're already living one. Perhaps it's the habit of thinking that today is merely a stepping stone, a means to an end, a bridge to something more important. We push through the day, ticking off tasks and chasing goals, believing that fulfillment lies somewhere just beyond the horizon. But all the while, the richness of life is happening in the here and now, quietly inviting us to notice. It's in the laughter of a loved one, the sound of the wind moving through the trees, the way the sunlight warms your skin. These are not insignificant details, they are the very fabric of existence. Yet we often dismiss them, looking instead for grand moments or monumental achievements to define our lives. We forget that life doesn't wait for us to be ready or for circumstances to feel perfect. It flows continuously whether we're paying attention or not. And here's the irony: the future we spend so much time worrying about will never arrive as the future. When it comes, it will come as the present, just as today did. This endless postponement, this habit of waiting for someday, blinds us to the fact that everything we need to experience life fully is already here. It's not in the plans we make or the goals we set, but in the simple act of being awake to the moment we're in. Life is not something to prepare for, it's something to live right here, right now. To miss that is to miss the only thing that's truly real. We tend to treat life as if it's something to be postponed, something that we can put off until we're ready, until the circumstances are perfect. We say, I'll start living once I have more time, more money, more experience. We delay our happiness, our joy, our fulfillment, as if there is some grand moment in the future when everything will align and we'll be given permission to truly enjoy life. But the irony of this mindset is that the future, when it arrives, is never what we imagined it would be. The truth is, we never really know what the future holds. The moment we think we've achieved the conditions for happiness or success, something else changes and the goalposts are moved further away. There will always be another project, another deadline, another someday that we'll have to wait for. Life in this way becomes a perpetual state of waiting, a cycle of delayed living. And before we know it, the future we were waiting for becomes the past we regret. We tell ourselves that there's a right time to do things, a right time to take risks, to speak our truth, to embrace the joy that's waiting for us. But this idea of the right time is an illusion. Time does not wait for us to feel ready. It moves forward, regardless of whether we choose to act. And the longer we wait, the more we miss. Life isn't a race with a finish line to cross, but a series of moments that are constantly unfolding. Each moment that passes is one we'll never get back. And in that way, delay becomes an act of denial, not just of our dreams, but of our very existence. The futility of delay lies in the fact that by postponing, we rob ourselves of the chance to fully experience what's in front of us. We tell ourselves that something more important is coming, but what we fail to see is that this moment is the one that matters. Waiting for everything to fall into place is an illusion, and when we finally stop and look around, we realize that life was happening all along, and we missed it because we were too busy waiting for a better time. Too often we live as if we need permission from the outside world to truly live our lives, as if someone somewhere needs to grant us the right to feel good enough, worthy enough, or capable enough. We wait for approval from our parents, our peers, society, or even from the world at large. We shape our decisions based on the expectations of others, seeking validation and trying to measure up to standards that don't even reflect our true desires. We forget that life is ours to live, and no one else holds the key to what makes us whole or fulfilled. We've been conditioned to believe that certain steps need to be followed: go to school, get a job, buy a house, and so on. All of these external milestones have become markers of success, creating the illusion that there's a prescribed way to live. And along the way, we begin to doubt our own intuition, questioning whether we're on the right path. But what if the only thing holding us back is the belief that we need external validation before we can make a move? The truth is, we don't need someone else's permission to live authentically. We don't need to wait for the world to tell us we're good enough, smart enough, or talented enough All we need is the courage to trust ourselves. The beauty of life is that we're the authors of our own story, the creators of our own path. There's no universal template for success or happiness, no checklist that guarantees fulfillment. It's all up to us to decide how we want to live, how we want to love, how we want to contribute. We have the power to shape our reality, not by seeking approval, but by embracing our own inner compass. The opinions of others, while important, are secondary to our own sense of truth. There's no external source that can give us permission to feel alive, to follow our passions, to pursue what makes us happy. That permission has always been inside us, waiting to be recognized. Once we stop looking outside for approval and start listening within, we begin to unlock the freedom we've been seeking all along. We live in a world that constantly measures worth by what we produce. From the moment we wake up, there's an invisible pressure to be productive, to check off tasks, to move from one goal to the next. We pride ourselves on being busy, as if the busier we are, the more valuable we become. But in this relentless pursuit of efficiency and output, we often forget that life isn't meant to be reduced to a series of tasks to accomplish. There's more to being alive than checking boxes. Living beyond productivity means realizing that our value doesn't depend on how much we do or how quickly we do it. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that productivity equals purpose. But purpose isn't a task to be completed or a number to be achieved. It's found in the quiet moments, the spaces between the actions. It's found in the act of simply being present, of appreciating the world around you, of connecting with others on a deeper level. True fulfillment comes not from rushing through life, trying to get ahead or stay busy, but from slowing down and truly experiencing the moment. It's about finding meaning in the mundane, joy in the simple acts of living, and allowing yourself to rest, to breathe, to just be. When we step away from the constant pressure to do more, we can rediscover the richness of life that exists beyond achievement. In a society that glorifies the hustle, it's easy to lose sight of the fact that life is not a race. It's a journey meant to be savored, not expedited. Productivity has its place. Of course, it's necessary for many aspects of life. But when we tie our self-worth too tightly to what we produce, we miss the true essence of living. The moments that matter the most aren't those spent in motion, but those spent in stillness, in connection, in reflection. Living beyond productivity is about remembering that we are human beings, not human doings. It's about embracing our worth not for what we accomplish, but for who we are in the present moment. When we let go of the need to constantly achieve, we can finally step into a life of deeper meaning, where the moments themselves are the rewards. To be alive is nothing short of miraculous. It's easy to forget this when we get caught in the details of daily life, when we're consumed by tasks, responsibilities, and the pressures of the world. But take a moment to pause and reflect on the sheer impossibility of your existence. Out of all the events that could have occurred in the vastness of time and space, you are here in this very moment, experiencing life. The odds of any one of us being born are almost unfathomable. Millions of years of evolution, countless twists of fate, and a series of seemingly insignificant moments that led to this very point. And yet here you are, with a mind that can think, a heart that beats, and senses that take in the world around you. You have the ability to reflect, to experience joy, pain, wonder, and love. All of this is happening in a body that can breathe, move, feel, and interact with the world in a way that no machine, no artificial creation could ever replicate. Each day is a new chapter of this extraordinary story, one that you don't have to earn or justify, but simply receive. There's no greater miracle than the fact that you are alive in this universe, aware of yourself and the world around you. The complexity of your body alone, how your heart pumps, how your mind processes thoughts, how you see and hear and touch, shows how deep the miracle runs. It's not something to be taken for granted, yet we often do. And then there's the world itself, the vast expanse of nature, the trees, the oceans, the sky, the way the sun rises and sets, the stars twinkle in the night, and the seasons change, all seemingly indifferent to human concerns, but still part of the same miraculous dance. You are connected to all of it, a part of the same great cosmic web. To exist is to be a part of something far larger than yourself, a movement that transcends the individual and connects every living thing in a way that's impossible to fully comprehend. The miracle isn't just in being born, it's in the fact that we get to witness the unfolding of life each day. We get to witness beauty in the simplest things: a flower blooming, the sound of laughter, the quiet of a morning. Every moment is an opportunity to experience the wonder of existence, to recognize that the life you're living is a gift, not a giver. We get so caught up in the things we think we need to do, the achievements we think we need to make, that we forget to simply appreciate the fact that we exist at all. But when we pause, when we take a breath, we realize that being here, alive, conscious, this is the greatest miracle of all. And it's happening right now. In the end, life is not something to be postponed, measured, or achieved in any conventional sense. It's a living, breathing miracle happening right before our eyes, moment by moment. The paradox we face is that by chasing after an elusive future or waiting for a perfect set of circumstances, we miss the beauty of the now, the richness of existence unfolding all around us. We don't need permission from anyone to live fully, and we don't need to prove our worth through productivity or external validation. All we need to do is embrace the present, recognize the wonder of our existence, and play the game of life without the burden of delay. Life is already enough, already complete, already here waiting for us to notice and be part of it fully and without reservation.